This is New Amsterdam Season 5, Episode 6 discussion/review titled Give Me a Sign. And some people did receive said sign. Let's talk about it.
Live life for the fight, yeah, I'm here to get it. I got drive, got sight, always have a vision. I go by at night, I be in my feelings, I'm a big fight.
Before I even dive into talking about the episode, I gotta say something first. They are really hammering down on this Max and Wilder situationship, if you will, because it is going all out the way. This episode started with them actually running and jogging through the park and everywhere, and it ended with them at the same time. I mean, I love Wilder, I really, really do, but I don't know how I feel about this relationship. I mean, on one hand, I like it because I like both characters, but on the other hand, I'm feeling like, was it absolutely necessary to force them in a relationship? But that's just my opinion. But anyway, this episode started where we see Max and Wilder, they're jogging, enjoying each other's company, laughing and cutting jokes, and then Max saves Wilder from a rampant intersection. And then at the same time, these two people get hit by a car, which we turn to find out is Raphael and his grandmother. And their particular case, which Wilder and Max kind of took over, kind of involved everybody else as well. It involved Bloom, and then it involved Floyd as well. Iggy had his own thing going on this entire episode, but I'm not mad at that because Iggy's aspect, in my opinion, was so much better. Not to discredit anything that was going on with Raphael and his grandmother, but the hit and run incident part of this episode, really wasn't feeling it. Now, I like the aspect of Max trying to solve the intersection because that's just who he is, but it has nothing to do with the hospital. It's not even, related to the hospital. So I feel like that whole section, in my opinion, was just a little irrelevant. But I did enjoy the character of the ambulance chaser lawyer lady, which is also Hetty from the Blacklist. Like, they put a couple people in the Blacklist in this last season, and I ain't mad at that because, Max, aka Ryan Eggold, played, Tom Keene on the Blacklist. So that's a nice little Easter egg, if you will. But I did enjoy the lawyer lady's character. I enjoyed her character. She was funny, watching her and Max interact with stuff that was going on. I did enjoy that aspect of it. The whole overall situation, really wasn't feeling it. But having Max go to trial, well, you're not supposed to try, but go to court, and then learning the inner workings of the city, you can say stuff and get it done and they'll say yes, but that don't mean they're going to get to it anytime soon. It could be 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road before they ever even get to this intersection, and him having to realize that. That's one thing that I did enjoy, Max having to realize that, hey, you can't help everything. But at the ending of the episode, we see him and the lawyer lady, she bought the paint with the money that Max paid her, and they decided to do it themselves and paint the city, paint the intersection. And I'm not mad at that, but like Wilder was saying, that is highly illegal, man. We can't be doing this. Now, I get the general concept behind it. It's a good thing to do. It's good for the city, and it's a good, it's just being good overall. But you saw the inner workings of the city, and you know how things play out. So you doing this, it's a good thing, but it's an illegal thing at the same time. And whereas the law didn't really quite help you get it done, you doing this, they will definitely prosecute you for it. I'm just putting that out there, Max. But it ended on a high note. Wilder came there with Max and started helping him paint. But they are really doubling down on this Max and Wilder thing. And I'm up in the air about it, if you ask me, honestly. But all that aside, the rest of the episode was pretty decent in my opinion. We see that Casey is back this episode. I was losing my mind to have my boy Casey back, man. It felt good, but we see that Bloom couldn't really enjoy his company as she normally would because she's dealing with all the stuff that's going on with her sister. And I love that Casey came back and gave her a kick in the butt because everything Walsh was telling her, and even Floyd was telling her, hey, you got to care about your sobriety, care about yourself. She's not wrong. Sure, she feels some type of way for abandoning her sister, and I get that. I totally do. But you wanted help. You wanted to get sober. Sure, it came at a cost of your job in the process, but you wanted it. You wanted to get sober. Your sister doesn't want it. So I know that you really want to help her. You want to be there for her. And it took Casey coming back to give Bloom that kick in the rear, if you will, to understand that, hey, you got to help yourself first. And if your sister wants help, then you could be there for her. But until then, there's really not much you can do, because at the ending of this episode, we see that, you know, she found out that her sister called her back, but it was like a drunk call voicemail or butt dial, if you will, and she left a voicemail, and Bloom was going to go find her, but she was at a bar, and instead of doing that, Bloom went to an AA meeting. And I feel, what was it, narcotics? Well, she was addicted to alcohol too, like, so it really is, she needed to be at any kind of AA meeting or NA meeting or some kind of meeting, but she went to one at the ending of this episode, and it took Casey coming back for her to realize that that's something that she needed to do. And I'm so happy, because she was racking her brain and messing up stuff this entire episode and episodes prior, but she finally is starting to get back on track, because Casey came and gave her that kick in the rear, and I ain't mad at it. You know, then she had her patient, you know, with the ice cream vendor thing, but that really was like a side note. It really wasn't important to the story. But then we have Floyd this episode, and we see that his father's bipolar disorder is actually flaring up and it's kicking off, and Floyd had to do something that he really didn't want to do. He had to put his father on a temporary hold, because at this point, his father did, you know what, I ain't got to do nothing no more. I got a disease, so nobody can blame me for the stuff that I've done. And we see that now his bipolar is really starting to act up on him, and I think it's a good thing that Floyd was there to actually help him, even though he had to put him in a temporary hold. And this probably kind of hurt Floyd a little bit to see him like that, because, you know, they were dragging him away. He was yelling at him, and I'm your father, and I'm this and that and the other. So I felt for Floyd this episode, but I feel like he made the right decision, because like the title said, you know, give me a sign. Everybody kind of had a sign this episode that kind of nudged them and pushed them in the right decision, and, you know, in the right direction, if you will. And I ain't mad at that at all. I think that's it for everything else like that. Now let's talk about Iggy, because the Iggy aspect was my favorite part of this entire episode, if I'm being honest. We see that Iggy, not his whole social life, I mean, that wasn't bad, but like his case this episode. But we see Iggy he's trying to feel something. He's looking for a sign, if you will, this episode. And we see that as the episode progresses, he's trying, you know, he's doing wine tastings, pet adoptions, bird watching, and all this other stuff, paint watching and whatever, if you will, like art watching, I don't know. But anyway, he's trying to feel something, and hoping that, you know, him disrupting his entire life isn't for naught, because, you know, he's really going through it. And we see him really struggling in the beginning of this episode. But the moment his case comes in or takes importance, Iggy is a great doctor, man. I gotta be honest. And him trying to help this couple this episode was fantastic. And the only thing that upset me about this entire episode, besides that whole stuff with Max, is the fact that his parents didn't get him the help that he needed. You know what I'm saying? Sure, they listened to the other doctors, but that's where you get, you know, sure, they did admit they had like 2 or 3 other opinions. Well, maybe you should have went for a fourth, because there's no way these doctors should have told you that he shouldn't be getting ASL at all. Now, he doesn't have to completely focus on that, because he can say some words, you know what I'm saying? He can talk a little bit, but he needs to have that, you know, that whole foundation of using ASL. And when Iggy was trying to, you know, teach the parents this, and you know, trying to help them cope with it and tell them about it after they gave him these, you know, these excuses from these other doctors, you know, I was in the back of my mind, my only thought and my only focus was, you know, show them Wilder. I mean, Wilder's prime example. She's perfect proof of what could be if you use ASL. And at the ending of the episode, after going through all of it with his family, well, this family, he told them about Wilder, and the little boy was super excited. He feels like he saw a whole new world now. And at the ending of the episode, they're going to send him to this school that can help him catch up, because he's so far behind. But I was so happy at the end result. I was mad in the beginning, but at the end result, I got a nice, happy resolution. And like I said, I'm not mad at it. And at the ending, we also see Iggy finding his purpose, if you will. And I think it's going to be weightlifting. I think weightlifting has made Iggy feel something different about himself. And it is not just losing weight. It's just about the feeling the rush, the adrenaline of weightlifting and working out. And so I cannot wait to next week's episode, man. This is your boy, Incredible. Don't forget to smash the like button until you can't smash any more. Comment down below, and I'll be sure to respond to each and every one of them, and subscribe. Peace out.
I cannot complain, because today, I'm doing my